Okay, it's working. That's what I will say. And if you're looking at the thumbnail and wondering why does Patdees have his head in an animal? Well, guess what? I even found time after a doctor's appointment with my wife. I quick stopped at Knoebels, and I think we walked around for like 2 hours there. So it is now 1:30. Uh, I need to get to bed, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna make a video. That's the hard part. Sometimes you gotta weigh things out. There's a lot of resellers out there that do reselling, but don't do social media. So I'm in my dining room, as you can see, and I told my wife tonight. I said I think I actually would do better. Now I did have my iPad and was listening to some people in the background and whatnot. Now, so for some people, it may be a distraction what I'm going to say, but I think sometimes I get bored with listing. Yes, I like the money when the sales do come in, but I'm going to put probably a little TV. I need something in the background to kind of. Sometimes, I mean, that could be a distraction, but I'm using the computer to look things up, and sometimes a little bit of a subtle background listening to something makes the time go a little faster. So what we're doing is we're in the middle, and then I'm going to talk about my sales. I had mentioned, I think it was on the last video, that I sold my last storage unit. I still have a cargo container on my property, but I don't have to pay rent for that. But I was paying, and the rent went up like $30. So I had rented that for 9 months, but locally it's hard to find stuff. So a local lady at the flea market bought that unit from me, and pretty much got my money back. But that's all right, because I had sold a lot of stuff anyway. So what I got to learn actually too is on YouTube. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not made content that much this year. That I am just hitting the $100 mark for the year. So that's how pitiful it's been for me on YouTube. And what I gotta learn to do is when I'm making these videos, I get so damn excited talking about it that sometimes I gotta take a breath, because that's where they need to put commercials. So sometimes I talk so much straight through that I don't even give a chance for a commercial to go in, so I lose that extra penny or two. So I am listing more on eBay. I've listed just in the last, and it's I think I have my graphics. Do I have my graphics on here? If not, I'm gonna quick snap a picture. It's on the thumbnail, but I want to be accurate. And hold on, let me snap a picture off my. I snapped it off the laptop so that I can reference it. All right, so my chart, which shows it. So you could see here, see in the past like week and a half, how much boom, boom, boom things are starting. I was a little disappointed because I had started listing a whole bunch of stuff. I got some CDs to list, and I've been buying some things on it. Even though I got certain inventory, I'm really trying to do a good mix. But I had certain things. I listed probably about 200 items just in the last 9 or 10 days. And now you say 200 items. Some things are $3 or $4, but today alone, and that's what I'm doing. I just in the last hour and a half, I listed about $1,500 worth of new name brand coats, and light jackets and stuff like that. The brand is Marmot, very popular brand, and good quality stuff. I had it listed before. And then when I screwed things up before on eBay and they took listings down, a lot of stuff came off. Now this box was never open. This was actually in my storage. And I should have listed this last year, and the box was taped up and I totally forgot about it. But we're in the process of cleaning the garage. We're cleaning, even working in the basement. Really, but not just stacking stuff. What I'm doing is I'm taking stuff and going through it like, okay, this is going to be for what now? Okay, this is going to be an eBay listing, and really trying to. I'm not going to lie. I'm not listing every day. I'm not going to say that. But when I am listing, and I'm 2 or 3 hours, I'm listing a pretty good. In those 9 or 10 days, I've probably listed about $3,000 worth of stuff, and for like 2 or 3 days, like I'm like, what the heck's going on? I'm like, I listed all this stuff, and you expect immediately to have sales, and guess what? I didn't. But all of a sudden, boom! Like 4 or 5 days later, I had a nice little payout this week. Back a couple years ago, it'd be nothing for me to have $500 to $700 a week in sales. Now you could say, "Oh, that's nothing." You got to keep. You got to keep. Now I had one time I had like 4,000 listings. You got to keep in mind, 35,000 at one time a couple years ago. I was doing around $110,000 reselling. My best year was 238,000, and that was the year of COVID. But even still, for like 3 years, I averaged about $110,000 between Amazon, whatnot, and eBay. So, and I sold other places, but not much. Those were the three. Right now, the two main places are eBay and whatnot. And whatnot, I am way off compared to last year because, frankly, when you take a 5-month break, for legitimate reasons, you know, you're gonna your sales are gonna suffer. So one of the things is I'm still doing. If you guys follow me, I'm still doing gig work. I'm still doing delivery. I even keep a daily log of that. How much I deliver. I deliver for basically 4 companies. But like I'll give you, for example, DoorDash. I haven't delivered for like 10 days. Pretty consistent with doing Instacart and Roadie. But Roadie now in our area has changed because Tractor Supply is starting to deliver their own, and Uber Eats is occasionally. I live in a rural area, so sometimes Uber Eats is not really a popular app as far as delivery-wise. So, but I'm still doing it. But I've made the decision probably about 3 weeks ago that at the end of the day, you know, when you gotta work, like to chase $100 sometimes is 6 to 8 hours doing deliveries. Plus you're using your gas and your time. My time in some days, in some ways, especially when you're driving so many miles, it would be better allocated, and putting better efforts into the reselling. Because, I mean, perfect example. The other day, you can see here two big lines in a row there, and my sales. My sales the last 7 days were 500. I'm rounding up a couple cents. $573, and the last 31 days, almost $800. So that's good. That's up 181%. And I've been doing on Whatnot. So my Whatnot, on Whatnot. Now they're not big monstrous shows. But at the end of the day, I'm doing shows that are 200, 300. I don't know if I can look up the sales analysis. Can you look up? I'm not sure if we can do analytics on here. I'm not sure. I know I can look it up. Sometimes they keep changing the app, so I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe up here. Inventory. Oh yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. It's pulling up. So. All right. So, basically, for the month, well, you can see it right there. $1,007. Now, one of them is I had a wholesale order to Harry Tornado. Thank goodness for him. He's being still supportive. Still haven't sold as much as I did last year. but that's okay. I mean, I'm grateful for the support he does give. So, August the 16th. I don't even think yesterday's sales. No, actually, yesterday's sales aren't in there, so it's actually more than that. So, yeah, that's way wrong. That is, yeah. So actually, I'm gonna show you. It doesn't include because it goes to the 16th, and you can see the blue 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 shows, almost $1,800, and that doesn't include yesterday's show where I did like 700, and Harry Tornado was part of that wholesale order on that. So actually, 18 plus another 7 is $2,500. That's pretty good, considering that for 5 months I was off. So I'm really was chasing it. So if you guys are interested in supporting me on Whatnot, I'd appreciate it. If you're new to Whatnot, and actually I looked that up too. I have like 178 leads off of YouTube for Whatnot, so that was pretty good. That was some kind of data that I was looking into. If you're new and you want $15 for free, you don't even have to spend it with me. Link in the description below. But yeah, that was pretty good. Let me see how many hours. My average order value is low though. It's only like $5.06. There's just some things that aren't worth selling on there that you have to sell over on eBay. Stream time. Oh no, that's how many people. Number of lives was 8. Stream time. It's 8 hours for the $1,800. I'm not factoring in the $700 show yesterday. So yeah, I did 25, but we'll say the 18 is the on here. Let me see. $272. Look at that. 272 new follows. So that's good because you're constantly growing. So I have like on there in the last 2.5 years, I have like 18,000. Hold on, I want to be accurate. I don't want to guess. Yeah, so 18,200 solds and 11,600 followers and 5-star review. So I do a mixture of shows over there right now. It's hard to get liquidation pallets, especially in my area. So I'm doing 3D print stuff. I have an upcoming media show with I'm going to do some VHS and records. I do Disney Loungefly, and I've been buying and selling Disney Loungefly probably for a year now, and I love Disney things, so that kind of makes sense. I've done a state show or two. Haven't done really well with those. You can't buy $2 or $3 items at the estate and only get 3 or 4 for it, so that's kind of been hit or nah. That's right now that hasn't been, but I still think we could build on that. So I do a variety of shows. I mean, I'm already getting ready. I probably have. Let me see how many I have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Probably have about 32 shows, and I already even have. I do a toy drive every year, so I already have the toy drives shows. We've donated in like 4 years over $10,000 with the toys between Salvation Army, Toys for Tots, and the local sheriff's departments. So I'm back. That's what I will say, and I'm trying to balance all this out. And for me, economically, even if I do a show where I do $150, $200 in an hour and a half on Whatnot, and I net $75. You know how many deliveries I got to do to make $75? And figure it's an hour and a half, and let's say another hour packing. That's 2.5 hours, and I'm talking about clearing. So let's just say 50% between fees and cost of goods, roughly. You know what I mean? Some things could be better than others, but that's still not bad. So I'm weaning back off the. What I like is that it's available. I could still do the deliveries. It's not as good as it was in the past because, like I said, Tractor Supply is doing their own deliveries and stuff like that. And I don't know with the economy because obviously, like when someone goes to McDonald's and gets it themselves, let's say it's $20, they're paying like 30-35 to have it delivered with the fee. A lady told me like the fee's like $10.99, and then they have to tip, or you hope they tip. So it could be that $25 normal order could now be $40, and out of that $10.99, I don't get the whole thing. I may get 5 or 6. So I may get out of that $40 order, I may get $8 to $10, but they're still making money doing that. But it's all about the math, So even social media, I still I can't just give up on it. Hey, even if I make $2 off of this, it's now quarter of two. It gets me out there, and who knows, maybe a video takes off, and you don't get paid until you hit that $100 threshold. So I just wanted to give you an update. I'm trying to do weekly videos. I like to eventually get to a point where I can do 2 videos, but it's more important right now to make sure that I'm focused on listing, because that's where the money's at, and selling on whatnot, and plus balancing life out, balancing my health, and doing it. My plate is full. I have a lot going on, so. But I do appreciate anyone that is supporting me and watching. It really does mean a lot to me, and it mean a lot more if you guys would comment, even if it's just a simple hello. I know John Jones always comments. He's probably the one that comments the most. I think there's like 3 or 4. My friend Brian, Mr. Buys a Lot, comments once in a while, but I mean, I get it. Not everybody could. Everybody's busy. Even if you put me on in the background to listen, and you could say that you get it and want to. There's some people that really. I think it's Toxic Adventure. I don't know who it is, but I read every comment. Do I always agree 100%? No, but I like when I read those comments. It's reminds me of when I used to go live back in the day on YouTube, and we're talking. I call it talking shop. So it's important, and also I like hearing other people. Now, do I want to hear negative stuff or people just trolling? No, but I don't mind people kind of giving suggestions or ideas or what they have. Does it work all the time for depending on where you live and stuff like that? But hey, any advice, any positive chat is always worthwhile reading, and hey, you took the time to watch me, so if you're writing something that you feel is going to be benefit to me, it's much appreciated. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. It's almost 2 o'clock, and I want to get to bed because there's another day tomorrow. So, see you again, guys.